because of the expanded size of the board of directors. And it'll be a couple of 3 months that we'll be using this facility temporarily. But my name is Jim Robinson. I'm chairman of the board. I hereby call the August 19th, 2026 regular meeting of the Harris Central Appraisal District Board to order. The time is now 9:40, and we're going to begin with the pledges. I'm going to ask Director Lamont Dixon if she would lead those.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We'll now proceed with the roll call. Kathy Bluford Daniels. Ms. Daniels is en route. Tracy Jones.
Present.
Martina Lamont Dixon.
Present.
Erica McCutcheon.
Present.
Melissa Noriega. Ms. Noriega is ill today. Annette Ramirez.
Present.
Kyle Scott. Mike Sullivan. Myself, Jim Robinson is present. And Mr. Sullivan has arrived. We have a quorum present. Now, we've got an extremely lengthy meeting today. And I know we've got lots of employees here, but I'm going to ask you all to come back at the end of the very last thing of the meeting after the executive session. We've got a lengthy agenda. We're going to have a very lengthy executive session. I'm going to lose perhaps a couple of board members at 11 o'clock to attend a funeral. So we're going to move straight into the comments from members of the public. And then after that, we will proceed with the regular agenda. And let the record show that Director Kathy Bluford Daniels has arrived. All right, during the public comment, registered members of the public will have 3 minutes to speak. If you'll note the time, we'll also be keeping track of it. Ms. Guerra will advise when you have 30 seconds remaining, also when your time has expired. At that point, we will simply call for the next speaker, and we very much appreciate your cooperation. And do we have anyone signed up this morning? No one has signed up, so that means we can move straight into our committee chair reports. And we'll first, Kyle is he's on his way from the airport. Director Scott is. Is there someone else who would like to give that committee report? All right, we will wait. We will wait until later in the meeting to hear that report. Do we have a report from the ARB committee?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. I know it's a little different in here, but again, we have to make ourselves as comfortable as possible. But the ARB will be holding a meeting next week, the committee. We're meeting on next Monday to go over some details of the flyer that's going to go out, hopefully to help us to hire more ARB members so we can try and reach that 190 mark. So we'll start aggressively pursuing those individuals very, very soon. And so that's all we have right now on the committee report.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Bluford Daniels. Finally, we have a report this morning from the Evaluation Committee. Director McCutcheon, do you have anything to report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, for this month, we did not have an evaluation committee meeting, and we will resume our next meeting coming up in September.
All right. We are now going to move to the consent agenda. We have 7 matters that are on it this morning. I'll read the caption for each one, and we'll entertain a motion. Item 7A is discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of July 15th. 7B is discussion and possible action to declare certain furniture and equipment as surplus and approval for sale and/or disposal. Item C is discussion and possible action to renew a contract for general liability, property coverage, workers' compensation insurance through the Texas Municipal League International Risk Pool and cyber insurance through Risk Placement Services for the year October 1st, 2026 through September 30th, 2027. The cost is $474,253, which is a 10% increase from last year. Item 7D is discussion and possible action to approve a one-year renewal option, outsourcing all printers and multifunctional unit MFU management to a Sourcewell cooperative vendor, DEX Imaging. The estimated annual cost is $120,000, which is a $15,000 or 10% increase over last year. Item 7E, discussion and possible action to approve a one-year renewal option on a contract with Centric Corporation for VisiFlow software and services support. The maintenance cost is $155,000, the same as last year. 7F is to receive the district's monthly financial reports. 7G to receive the report on payments of bill, payroll, and transfers of funds between line items, discussion and possible action, if any, related thereto. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
All right. Who was the motion?
That was right here on this end, Director Jones.
Okay. All right, but Director Jones, do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Second by Ms. Lamont Dixon. We'll just do a voice vote on this one. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. All right. Did you have a discussion on it?
I did. I had a comment concerning, again, the purchase of the various softwares, because I've mentioned before, it's just concerning to me, not just with this software, but other softwares, that we're continuously purchasing softwares for improvement. I know that that's necessary with the changes of times, you tech people, but I'd like to know, when we purchase new software, what is it replacing? And if it's replacing any previous software, if there's an overlap, and then how much are we saving by purchasing this new software if there's no overlap? I'm just, as I mentioned before in one of the meetings, I'm always concerned that we're continuously purchasing something for improvement, and we don't show any real savings with it. So everybody understand my concern? The overlap, if there's an overlap, and if there's a savings, and what that savings is.
Well, let me make a suggestion, Ms. Daniels. Let's request the chief appraiser, because there's always software items coming up, to include in his executive summary for every software item basically a discussion of the issues that you have raised. And that way, everybody will have an opportunity to see that, study it before the meeting.
Okay.
So Adam is shaking his head, so if you would attend to that, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely. And these consent agenda items, most of these are software items that are already in place, but for anything new, and actually we have some coming up today, and Beata has done what you asked last meeting to make sure that we're talking about what the purpose of it is, what it's saving us in staff time or in costs, so that we have that. And I'll be happy to include any more detail that is wanted, and so I'll make sure that's in the executive summary as well.
And I appreciate that, because I know I've asked before. I just want to make sure we covered that territory. Thank you. And I'll ask probably the same question later.
No worries.
All right, let's move to the action items. Item 8 is discussion and possible action to receive the annual report from the district's external auditors. The chair recognizes the chief appraiser.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Property Tax Code requires an external audit of the district's financial affairs to be conducted annually. Staff will then provide a copy to each taxing unit as required. The audit report for 2025 was prepared by Crow LLP, and the audit committee met on July 22nd with firm partner and senior audit manager Stephanie Harris and Katie Rogerson. The audit committee was provided an overview of the financial reporting process, the audit process, and compliance with laws and regulations. Stephanie Harris is here to present a quick PowerPoint and answer any questions you may have. And then afterwards, we ask the board to accept the 2025 audit report. So thank you, Stephanie.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and the rest of the board.
Good morning.
Out of respect for your time this morning, I'm going to move pretty quickly through these slides. In the event that you have a question or want some elaboration, please stop me. Is that better?
That's
Yes.
better, yes.
Okay, excellent. I'd like to start with roles and responsibilities. At times there can be confusion between what the role of the external auditor and management is. We've been engaged by the district to express an opinion on the financial statements. In order to do that, we evaluate the risk of material misstatement of those financial statements, or said another way, what's the probability of an error making it all the way through those statements. Additionally, we look at the district's internal controls and make certain evaluations, and based on that understanding, we develop a risk-based audit approach that's typically divided between two primary phases. Phase one is interim type work, which would be done before the districts close its books for the year. Phase two would be after year end or final field work, and finally reporting and completion. In terms of management's responsibility, at the end of the day, management is responsible for the preparation of the financial statements. However, you have hired us to assist in that responsibility. That is considered a non-audit service, and we do ask that management review and take responsibility before we issue our opinion. They are also responsible for federal and state compliance, as well as establishing and maintaining relevant internal controls to protect the information and data integrity that makes it into those statements. This year, there was a new accounting pronouncement by GASB, Statement 102, certain risk disclosures. This had no impact on the district's financial statements. In terms of audit adjustments, or what we might refer to as misstatements, we did not identify any adjustments to correct an error, and there were no uncorrected misstatements that were passed on as a result of materiality. In terms of just other required communications from us as your external auditor, there were no difficulties encountered with management. There were no disagreements through the audit process. To our knowledge, management has not consulted with other accountants in which, according to a statement on auditing standards, they would be required to consult with us. There were no significant or adverse events that would require your attention at the board level and completion of the audit. Very pleased to say that we are issuing an unmodified opinion on the district's financial statements. Again, unmodified being the highest level of assurance that we can provide as your independent auditor that the financial statements are materially correct and all disclosures required by generally accepted accounting principles were included. In terms of the financial highlights, at the end of the year, this first government-wide summary is the first two statements within the annual comprehensive financial report. As you move through that report, there's several bases of accounting. This first one is full accrual, designed to make the district more comparable to a for-profit type entity. You ended the year with total assets of approximately $108.4 million. This was a net decrease of $1 million as it relates to 2024. Much of that decrease was seen in the district's capital assets as well as its net pension asset. Total liabilities were approximately $42 million. This was an increase of $1 million. Again, this is roughly based on the timing of invoices for services provided as of year-end. Ending net position, you saw a decrease of approximately $11.5 million or 20%, leaving you with a balance of $45.7 million. Much of that decrease on the full accrual statements could be seen in personnel cost as well as pension expense. Previously, the board did approve a one-time cost of living adjustment, which is the reason for the overall significant increase in pension expense for 2025. In terms of your fund level statements, or what we refer to as modified accrual, the district's general fund ended up with a fund balance of $38.1 million. This is an increase of approximately $3.6 million, or 10%. This total represents approximately 34.5% of the general fund's 2025 expenditures. The unassigned fund balance at the end of the year represented approximately 9% of those same expenditures. Unassigned plus the operating reserve represented 25%. This next slide is just a visual breakdown. Essentially, of that $38.1 million, 4% was non-spendable. These were some prepaid expenditures that relate to the 2026 fiscal year. The unassigned balance is approximately 26% of the total, and your assignments represent 70% of your ending fund balance. As you look at that 70%, the assignments can be broken down into essentially 4 different buckets. There you'll see a balance for special projects, one for election services, the other for building major repairs and rehabilitations, and an operating reserve. The district has adopted a policy to maintain a 25% or 3 months of budgeted operating expenditures at the end of the year. The current operating reserve of approximately $17.8 million is under district policy by just over $10 million. In terms of audit findings and recommendations, we do not have any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies to report to you. In conclusion, the district's financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. There were no material audit adjustments for errors, and management and staff were prepared for our audit and responded timely to our requests. I'd like just to take a moment and recognize Teresa, Tracy, Thomas, and the rest of the finance team. They do an incredible job throughout the year accounting for the district's finances. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. First, let me entertain a motion, and then we'll have discussion. Do we have a motion to discuss and possible action to approve the report?
So moved.
All right, moved by Director Lamont Dixon. We have
Second.
second by Director Bluford Daniels. All right, is there any discussion? I see no hands, so very thorough report. We appreciate it very much, and we will pursue. We'll do a roll call vote on this one. Ms. Bluford Daniels,
Aye.
Ms. Tracy Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Lamont Dixon,
Aye.
Ms. McCrutchen.
Aye.
Ms. Noriega is absent. Ms. Ramirez.
Aye.
Mr. Scott is running late. Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
And the chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Move to item 9 is discussion and possible action to review and approve specifications for the purchase of temporary staffing services and authorize publication of a request for proposal. Chair recognizes the chief appraiser.
All right, thank you, Chairman. As we're all aware, HCAD has a very large number of separate tasks that must be performed each year. Some of these tasks are very seasonal, with high levels of volume for a few months and then none for others. This leads us to the need for temporary staffing to handle some of this work. Temporary staffing not only helps with those seasonal changes, but the approach is also more cost-effective because the contractor covers background checks, health insurance, training, unemployment chargebacks, and workers' compensation. We recommend a 1-year contract with 4 optional renewals pending performance and funding, and the funds are budgeted in account 3040. So the motion is to approve the specifications for temporary staffing services and authorize us to be able to go out for an RFP to find these temporary staff. And a copy of the specifications have been provided in the board book, and the money is available in the budget, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Do we have a motion to discuss and possible action to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Director McCrutchen moves. Do we have a second? Ms. Jones. Oh, Ms. Jones made the motion. Okay.
Yes.
And Ms. McCrutchen, do you second then? All right. We'll do a roll call on this one. Ms. Bluford Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Tracy Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Lavon Dixon,
Aye.
Ms. McCutcheon,
Yes.
Ms. Noriega is absent, Ms. Ramirez. Aye. Mr. Scott is running late. Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Next item is item 10, discussion and possible action to approve the purchase of TalkDesk, Inc., CX Cloud Elite Call Center software, licensing and subscription from an Optima Partners vendor, Carasoft Technology Corporation, in the amount of $272,364. I recognize Chief Appraiser Bogard.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is something I'm very excited about for this next item. HCAD handles, as you know, close to 30,000 calls every month to our phone bank, and it's one of the main ways that we are able to interact with the public. A little over a year ago, we hired a new manager over our customer service section, and one of his main tasks was to look to modernize the call center. Over the past year, he's researched and spoken to several vendors, a few of which have come to HCAD to demo their products to us. He's handled this project in such a professional way, and Osa Asigwe, if you're in here, thank you again for doing the legwork to get to this item. And since it is a software item, we're going to go ahead and have Beata Casper elaborate. So thank you.
Good
Thank you. Go
morning,
ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As Mr. Bogard mentioned, this item is to discuss and possibly take in action to replace our existing phone bank system with a new modern software package. So the TalkDesk Cloud Elite software would be replacing what we currently have, which is a Cisco WebEx contact center, with an average of 30,000 calls coming in to our phone bank managed by our employees. It requires a system that is robust, that is scalable, and modern to allow us some automations and increased efficiencies. And that TalkDesk software provides all of that. It supports voice calls, it supports communication via email, via text, via chat that's being manned also by our employees. It does provide real-time dashboards. It does out-of-the-box business intelligence. It allows us to track any key performance indicators that we choose. It also, out of the box, gives us quality management that would allow us to improve quality public experience and also improve our staff efficiencies. And also, as Mr. Bogard mentioned, Osa, his team, in collaboration with few folks from the IT team, spent the last 9 months evaluating different packages to find one that pretty much future-proofs us and that does meet the needs, allows us for growth and future enhancements. And that is TalkDesk. So I did a very quick few slides. And this is kind of historical volume of our phone calls since July of 2022 when we started tracking it. And as the board can see, I mean, you know, we're jumping up to about 46,000, but on average it's about 30,000 calls. OSA already did an absolutely wonderful job reducing the average call wait time from, you know, almost 45 minutes down to about a minute. And our goal is to maintain that with possibly eventually less staff having to handle the call volume. What TalkDesk does that our current system does not is has a very no coding required routing. Users can adjust things in minutes. Native AI tools for our internal use built in. Pre-built integrations to our existing systems, which is very important because we are going to continue maintaining our phone system. And we don't have to replace our existing phones. We don't have to replace that system at all. It's all going to click together very seamlessly. Real-time analytics, automated scoring, and I know this may be a little too much and too techy, so I made the slide very, very simple. So our current system is very hard. We've got to either ask our IT administrators or we have to pay our vendor partners to do any type of modifications, troubleshooting. Talkdesk is very easy. A lot of those things can be handled internally. Any type of artificial intelligence or automation in existing system is very hard to add. With Talkdesk, it comes right out of the box. Connection to other tools, same thing. And, quality of calls with the current system, we can only do a random handful sample. Here with Talkdesk, we can automatically check quality of all of the calls. So I also did a very high-level return on investment, and just looking at, the hard versus simple. We can eliminate about 40% of the administrative efforts from the IT division or paying our vendors. With some of the automated tools, we can reduce the average call handle time by about 25% because the system will automatically take notes from the call for us. So then the human has to review it rather than having to type everything in manually. So by just looking at these two factors, about 500 hours of our labor saved over a year, period of a year, which adds up to approximately $150,000 savings. So we would be recouping our investment in about a year and a half, about 18 months. We do have funds available in our IT budget. The implementation or the scope of work includes the implementation, it includes training, and it includes all the configuration and deployment. It has been tailored to our specific needs, and we anticipate 90 to 120 days until the transition, which should be seamless, not affect any of our daily operations. And I will be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion to discuss and possible action to approve?
So moved.
All right,
Second.
Okay, motion was by Ms. Lamont Dixon, second by Ms. McCrutchen. Any discussion? Ms. Lamont Dixon.
I just want to say thank you so much for the side-by-side comparison. I brought that up during the Finance Committee meeting, and I think it definitely helps to understand. And you went an extra mile and added the simple version, which definitely, I'm sure, helps a lot of us up here.
Thank you.
But looking forward to experiencing the new system, with the efficiencies. And also, thanks for taking the board's advice on even explaining what that looks like. So I think Ms. Bluford Daniels over here is also satisfied. But I'll let her speak for herself.
And that's what I had my tagged for, to tell you thank you. It made it real simplistic, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Ms. Jones, did you have?
I do have a couple questions. So this $272,000, this is an annual subscription fee?
No, ma'am. So about 65,000 of it is a one-time fee for the implementation, and then we are looking at about 104,000 for ongoing subscription for licensing, and then we are approximating about another 100,000 for they call it usage, which is based on the number of calls. So the ongoing annual cost would be
210?
about 210.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And how does that compare to the Cisco What were we paying for
So
that?
on a Cisco right now, we're paying about 100,000 annually. However, we also looked at upgrading Cisco to enhance it with the same features that we're getting now. And the cost to upgrade Cisco and then annual ongoing cost would have been 2-3 times more than the cost we are getting with TalkDesk. So it
So-
would be comparing apples to oranges.
Understood. So with the anticipated savings of approximately $150,000 a year in personnel costs, we're actually coming out cheaper by
Yes.
switching and with a better product.
Yes, ma'am.
What is, do you happen to know what the average call time is? That,
We've been asked that many times. If Osa's here, maybe you want to chime in, but it's hard to really tell what the average call time is because some calls are simple and can be answered in few seconds, and then some calls get to be really more complex. They may need to be routed to experts in other divisions.
okay. I think that's all. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am, thank
All
you.
right, any other, Ms. Ramirez?
Good morning, thank you. Just quick question, you mentioned in your presentation that the software checks the quality of the calls. What do you mean by that? Is it listening to what the employees said and it's verifying that the information that they're doing all the customer service like they should be?
Yes, so we are going to build a knowledge base. It's going to learn. It's going to make sure that for the same question, both or three or all agents are giving the same answer. If they differ, it's going to bring to the supervisor's attention so we can tweak it and make it continue learning things. It's also going to look for this quality of service. Was there any dropped calls or not a good quality of voice? So it's a very comprehensive suite of quality controls that we will configure according to the needs.
And just to add real quick,
Yep.
one of the neat things that it can do, it can actually tell the tone of the voice
Yeah.
of the property owner and see whether they were happy or not getting through the call. So it's got a lot of really neat features that'll really help us be able to improve our service to the public.
So right now, your staff, I guess your managers are having to go back and listen to conversations, because that's what, we're looking at
Yeah.
the new software too. So this is very
Yes.
helpful. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments?
Yes,
Mr.
Mr.
Crutcher.
Chairman, thank you. Thank you so much for all of the hard work you guys have put into this. I do just have one quick question. You talked a little bit about technology is always constantly changing, and so this software will have the capacity to be able to grow
Yes,
as
ma'am.
it.
Yes.
What about the recurrent training there? Are there additional costs in this contract or additional training as new technology comes on, because it's changing very rapidly?
Yes, so ongoing training is part of the ongoing support and services as we move forward. Now, if we do introduce new features, we would need to kind of negotiate additional training anytime we implement new features and add them to the system. And then also with the built-in knowledge base, that will help us train our new employees that much faster because they will have, answers to most frequently asked questions at their fingertips.
All right. If no further discussion, in the interest of time, because we do have a long meeting, let's do a voice vote on this one. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to item 11, and hopefully this will be a very short item. Again, time is pressing. We're going to lose some people at 11. This is item 11, by the way, is discussion and possible action to instruct the chief appraiser to issue a news release stating that ARB applications will be accepted beginning September 1st. Chair recognizes the chief appraiser.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Every year, the Board of Directors must instruct the Chief Appraiser to issue a news release stating that applications for the ARB will be accepted by the HCAD Board beginning September 1st. The news release has been going back and forth with Jack Barnett and Teresa Terry, but it'll be finally approved on the 24th at our meeting with the ARB committee. And so we just ask approval to be able to get the letter out, and we will vet it and finalize it at the next meeting.
All right. We need a motion to discuss and approve, and I think Ms. Bluford Daniels makes this motion probably.
Second.
Chair?
Moved by Ms. Bluford Daniels, seconded by Ms. McCrutchen. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. This brings us to item 12, which is the budget. This is discussion and possible action to approve Resolution 2026-10, approving the 2027 budget for the Harris Central Appraisal District. Chair recognizes Chief Appraiser Bogard.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, though we went over it last month, I think it's important to still go back over the presentation so that we can have a full understanding. I understand in the essence of time, we're trying to hurry, but I do feel that it's important that we just, for transparency's sake, get through it one more time. So I'm going to go through. I also added some new slides to address some of the issues that were brought up at the last board meeting. So again, as a reminder, the goals, first and foremost, as it's been with everything we've been doing since I've gotten into this role, is transparency. I want to make sure that the public, the board, the staff, everyone understands what we're doing with our budget each year. And the first step in that, being new in this, I needed to figure out what is the financial health of the organization. And so that was a deep dive into our reserve levels primarily. Again, I am not an accountant. This is not my expertise by any means. We have some fantastic staff that it is theirs, thank goodness. But I do understand enough to know that if you're coming into a home budget or anything like that, you got to make sure your savings levels are where they need to be. And so that was really one of the first steps for me, going in and determining our financial health. And then the next step was reducing cost. I mentioned it last month. I could not be more proud of the work that the division directors, their managers, and supervisors did to look for cost savings. We did a deep dive into everyone's, all of the licensing for the different software they have, the software, the amount of times we're sending people to trips, all types of things to try to find cost savings so that this next item, which is preserving the ability to adjust salaries, was there. To me, the most important thing, we are a service organization. We'll see it in a second, but 75% of our expenditures are for staff. And so I want to make sure that the staff are able to get a fair wage for the work that they do and that we're keeping up with the market and the different things that are happening outside of here so that we have good quality staff that will stick around to serve the public. And so with that, the next step was beginning to plan for the future, and we'll talk about that some as we get into the reserve levels. So as I mentioned last meeting, the primary purpose of these reserves, and you're all much more aware of this than I am, but being new at this, and a lot of you have a lot of experience doing this with different boards, but these reserves, is just as a reminder, in a government budget, is to provide financial stability, flexibility, and protection against uncertainty. Historically, HCAD has always funded most of the level of the reserves from end-of-year excess that we have. However, we are hit with the same things that the rest of the outside world is. With rising costs, a lot of times we're not having much excess funds at the end of the year. The past couple of years, it's been very limited. And so what that means is that as we move forward into the future with coming up budget cycles, of course, this one, as I mentioned last month, is all about the election reserve. But we've got to make sure that we're planning for these different reserves to make sure that the money is there in case of any emergency. So this is, again, a quick overview of our reserve levels. As I mentioned last meeting, the restricted operating reserve is at $17.8 million, which that's going to be the one we go to if some dramatic event happens and we can't fund a quarter of payments. That is, best practices is about 2 to 3 months of expenditures, and so we're quite a bit under that. I think it was just mentioned we're about $10 million under where we would like to be per policy. And so again, that's something that we need to have our eye on moving forward through the next few budget cycles. Our major repairs and rehab fund is at $6.5 million. Typical is 10 to 40% of building value. Right now, for insurance purposes, our building's around $71 million, so about 7.1. We're not too far off right now, but the concern is with the Board of Directors remodel, and as I mentioned last month, we have some brick issues on the exterior of the building that we'll be coming to you with soon to look to repair. That may cost anywhere from $1 to $2 million in 26 and 27. So again, another one that going forward we need to have our eye on making sure that it's funded appropriately. We have our unassigned fund, which is kind of our rainy day fund. It's at $6.9 million right now, and this is typically what we've done is we've used some of the money from this fund to be able to pay off some of the increase that we have each year for the budget. We historically, the past 5 or 6 years, have pulled $1 million out of this fund to help offset the costs. However, last year, as you remember, and we'll talk about this more in a second, we did pull $3.1 million out of this fund, which was not in line with what we've done in the past. So again, we'll be pulling $1 million out for this year, but that's what this fund has been primarily used for over the past couple of years. We have our insurance fund. After 2026 expenditures, we're estimating to have about $5.5 million in this fund. As you can see, though, insurance costs have been skyrocketing, and we'll be coming to you next month with our insurance report, and we think after 2027, we'll be at about $2.5 million. So 3 months is the typical of what you want for expenditures in this fund, so we're not too terribly far off, but again, it's another one that we need to start planning for moving forward. But all of that said, the number one fund that we have to focus on for this year is the election fund. We are at $2 million right now. The estimated cost for the 2026 election with a runoff is going to be $7.5 million. So we're asking for $3 million this year to put into that fund, but as you can see, we're still going to have to dip into the reserves to cover this. The good news is, and I think we talked about it last meeting, we've had some really good conversations with different senators, the governor's office, and so far, no one has laughed too much at our ask to be able to help do something about this. I think that we'll be able to make some progress, but again, these elections are expensive. If we could do away with the runoff, I think that would help a lot, but there's different people out there with different ideas of what we can do with this. And so again, that fund is the big one for this year that we're going to be looking to fund. So again, that's kind of the overall health for our reserves. And so let's talk about the budget. What are the budget drivers for 2027? It is pretty much split between election costs and salaries. That is what we're going to be focusing on, and it's almost 50-50, as I'll show you in a moment. I did include here our inflation and population growth. I pulled the latest stats yesterday for July. Inflation is at 3.4% per the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. And population growth, the latest numbers I could find is about 1.3%. From July of 25. So we're looking at about 4.7 for population and inflation. So again, those salaries, the main thing I'm looking for is just to make sure that we keep up with those increases so that the staff can keep their salaries up. And so here are the 2027 expenditures, what we're looking at. And you can see here for the 2027 budget, we're asking for $126.6 million roughly. It's about $7.7 million increase from last year, which would be 6.55%. As I mentioned, if you look over at the pie chart with the blue and the orange slices of the pie, you add those two together, you're almost at 75%, and that's going to be our salaries and our employee benefits, so our employee costs. And again, like I mentioned, we are a service organization. We are primarily funding the solid staff that we have to be able to serve the jurisdictions and the public. You can see the other big slice of that is going to be professional services at 17%. That's going to be our litigation costs. And for this year, it's going to be that election, the extra $3 million that we're asking for the election funding as well. You can see computer operations. We talk about it a lot, but it's only 6% of the expenditures. You know, again, the big chunk is going to be those salaries. And then you've got office space and utilities at 2% and office and field operations at 5%. I did include the statement down at the bottom that if not for the election costs, the increase would be at 4.02%, which is below inflation and population growth at 4.7%. That said, as we discussed last meeting, the top of this is the same as what we just saw, showing the budget ask, the variance, and the percent change. But if you go down, you can see that due to the fact that we pulled the $3.1 million out of the reserves last year, it's actually going to be about 8.5% for the jurisdictions. So again, that was an anomaly. I did, you know, at the suggestion of one of our directors, we did go back and look, Director Lamont Dixon. We did go back and look kind of where that came from. And again, I think I think there may have been some thought that there was more money in our reserves, and we probably didn't do a good enough job of explaining that. And so the board had suggested maybe pulling more out, and in one of the committee meetings, and what we did was the chief appraiser went and decided on that 3.1 number. So that's how that came to be. So again, not laying any blame, it's just that's what we did, and so I want to be very transparent that although we're asking for a 6.5% change, it's going to look like more than that to the jurisdictions. It's important to note. So this is the breakdown of the total increase. So of the roughly $7.5 million, this is how it breaks down into different segments. And you can see, as I mentioned, if you take the professional services, which is going to be your election costs, and the salaries and wages and benefits, you're at almost a 50-50 split. So it really is just coming down to election costs and salaries. The one thing I want to point out that, again, I'm very proud of is our computer operations is only making up 1% of the increase this year. Typically, it's much more than that. You can see here, we're only increasing this segment of the budget by $6,000, which is incredible. The previous years, it's been anywhere from 600,000, 500,000, 1.3 million, 300,000, and we're only going up $6,000 this year. And this is where, again, I've got to give praise to the directors, the management, the supervisors, Beata Casper and her team for looking for savings in this segment. Because again, this is one area that even though costs have been increasing dramatically, they went in and really did a good job on saving. I think we ended up at about $1 million that we were offsetting in increases. So with all that said, one of the things that we looked at was, just a reminder of what it is we do for the money spent. And I'll get into this kind of split up between the jurisdictions and the public here in a moment. But just a reminder of what we do. We appraise almost 2 million properties a year. And, I've gone out and looked, and that makes us the largest assessment organization in the world. When it comes down to it, for appraisals that follow the uniform standards of professional appraisal practices, which would be fee appraisals, mass appraisals, we do 2 million, and if you look at the entire banking mortgage industry, they do 4 million a year. So we do a tremendous amount of work, and we do it at a 99% accuracy rate per our last study by the Comptroller's Office. So great job, staff, on that. We have about 1 million exemptions that we're responsible for between homesteads and over 65s. We had this year almost 600,000 protests. We serve our 622 taxing units. We value 20% of the total value in all of Texas. We do that while I'm happy to say, this isn't the formal announcement, but we got our 10th year this year of our top workplace here at HCAD, which I'm very proud of. And we do that with a certificate. Well, thank you. We do that with also receiving our Certificate of Excellence in Assessment Administration from the IAAO, which we'll be receiving at the meeting coming up in a month or two. And through all of that, we do all of this work. At last year's budget was basically breaking down to $60 a parcel. So I want to talk about that some. And one of the things that I think was well received last month was looking at what it would cost jurisdictions if they had to go private for some of this work. And this was something that I thought was important to look at. If you were a private entity, if you just looked at 3 of our top tasks, appraisals, hearings, and litigation, if you were to go out and find a residential appraisal, even at the bottom of the level, you're talking about $350 for a residential appraisal, about $3,000 for commercial. Hearing representation, the cheapest you can find out there is about a $200 flat fee from what I've found. And then a real estate attorney retainer, not even doing the litigation, but just having them available, is around $1,500. And so you look at that, add that up, you're looking for a per property total, if it was to be privately done, from anywhere from $2,000 to $4,500. Of course, there'd be some discount for mass there, but again, the point being, we do it for $66 a parcel for what we're asking for the budget this year. So the jurisdictions, again, I believe, get very good value for the work that we do, and at a very inexpensive cost to them. And what it ends up being is under 1 cent per dollar of tax levy. So again, we do a great job, we do it accurately, and I think we do it for very inexpensive. Looking for the public, this was something that was actually kind of challenged, we were challenged with by one of our frequent members here, Ms. Rowell, who comes to the members of the public, who I thought was a great idea. She said, kind of what is the return on investment that the public's getting for the money that we're spending? And so what I did was I went and looked from 2022 to 2026. We had about a 25% increase in the budget. During that time, we've been able to utilize these funds by staffing and technology to reduce call wait times by almost 90%, from 21 minutes down to about 2 minutes, 39% reduction in days waiting for exemptions to process, a 29% increase in lawsuit settlements, so getting those done faster so the jurisdictions and the public have their final tax bills, 65% increase in arbitration settled. We've also been able to keep pace with a 63,000 parcel increase over that time period, 72,000 more hearings, changes, tons of changes due to legislation, which again has a lot of costs associated with it. I think we met with Molly Cook's office, Senator Molly Cook, a couple months ago, and one of the things we talked about was Senate Bill 2 and the costs associated with that. And I think one of our board members brought up this a couple years ago, which was a great idea, looking at what was the cost for that, and it was almost $8 million of staff time, technology, and different things. So again, we have a lot of legislation that takes place that causes us to have to spend money, which we don't plan on. The new immediate residential homestead added about 30,000 more homesteads on us each year. So again, we have quite a bit of work that we do, and for the increase in budget, I think that the staff do a fantastic job on giving the public that return on investment. A couple of items real quick that were brought up at the last board meeting. I went back and listened to try to see what some of the issues were, and really a lot of it revolved around what Director Bluford Daniels was mentioning, which is what is the return on investment for the software that we're buying? And so I picked a couple of items real quick. The first one is Sketch Inspect. This was one that Byron Stanley, who's over our residential group, he recognized that we weren't meeting our statutory deadlines for re-inspecting properties every 3 years. What we did was we found this product, and what it does is it lays images over one another and looks for any differences. And if there's no difference per the IAAO guidelines, we're able to take that as a valid re-inspection. And so we spent $243,000 on it. We just got back this week from them our first batch, and we were able to get 200,000 accounts done as a match, which required no work from the staff further. That would typically take us 179 days with 45 appraisers that we'd have on that project. At an average salary of $65,000, you're looking at about $1.43 million worth of labor that can go towards other projects. So again, over 5 years, every dollar spent on this returns about $4.88 in savings. Another one that we have, we have a lot of bots that Beata and her team have created, which are fantastic. This one is appointment of agents, and what it does is normally an appointment agent form, that's where an agent will go out and get a property owner to give them the right to be able to represent them. Those forms right now, we have to manually work them. We scan them in, we look at them, we have to find the data, move it over into our CAMA system. And what this does is this bot does this 24 hours a day for us, does all of those steps. It was a cost of $45,000 initially, plus a $10,000 per year maintenance fee. After that, it's only $10,000. The bot can process the same work as 2.6 staff members. At a salary of $50,000, the bot performs basically $130,000 worth of work. Over 5 years, every dollar spent on that bot returns about $5.84 in net savings. So again, another example of that technology giving us big returns on investment. So in closing, again, just to remind us, $126.6 million is the ask, a $7.7 million increase from last year, which is 6.55%. Again, just want to point out, because of the reserve poll last year, it's going to look like 8.5% to the jurisdictions. And if not for the election costs, the increase would be at 4.02%, which is below inflation and population growth. So in closing, the reserve levels, something we've got to watch in the future. Right now, it's all about the election reserve. Our budget drivers were 50% basically of election costs and staff costs, staff salaries. I went over the returns on investment, which I think are very impressive for the work that we do. And then the cost per account for those jurisdictions that we serve and we work for is only $66 per account. And with all of the work that we do, I think that that's a very good cost for the jurisdictions. And so with that, I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Adam, and I'll entertain a motion for approval and discussion.
So moved.
All right, it's moved by Director Lamont Dixon. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Director Sullivan. All right, open the floor to discussion. Mr. Sullivan.
Yes, sir. Thank you. If I may, I'll be voting against this, and I'd already expressed my concerns to both the Chief Appraiser and to you as Board Chair of such an increase. It is beyond the district's control, but recognizing that jurisdictions are paying the freight on this and they're restricted by law on how much they can increase their budgets and tax rates, I just philosophically am opposed to the increase. So I'll be voting no, but I did want to explain that to both the employees and the public so that they would know the background. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Other discussion? I'd make, let me make one comment real quick. I talked to a number of budget people from various jurisdictions, and of course, they all hate to see their share go up by 8.54%. But the general comment I got from all, that without your work, we don't have any budget at all. And that's an unfortunate truth of the way that government is funded in Texas. But recognize Director Jones. I'm sorry, Director Bluford Daniels.
And thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation again. Of course, whenever we see something again, we have other follow-up questions. And I was concerned, well, actually I had a question, because I'm going to support the budget, but I was just concerned if we've done any like comparison to other entities that have elections as well, and what that cost is for them. I know it'll be different based on the population of the city, but I just want to know what that cost looks like for them.
We haven't done like a direct look at that per se. I will say we've worked with the county clerk's office on this, who of course sets the cost. And we haven't gotten the final cost yet, so we don't know what it's going to be. But generally from the meetings that we've attended with her, it's the same process that she goes through for each of those, each of the elections. So I'm not sure that there's going to be any real, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. There seems to be equity in the process. But again, if there's further, once we get the final amount, I'm happy to do any further dives into what the difference may be.
Because it's such a hard hit to the budget. We talked about that before. I just wondered if compared to other large cities, if there was a way that they did something differently. I mean, I know statutorily they can't do too much differently,
Right.
but to minimize the cost of what that entire election is going to be.
Right.
So I was just curious about that, Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I haven't looked into any direct, I haven't done a direct comparison, but again, from what I've heard from the clerk's office, it is the same process. But if there's maybe cost savings that we can do, that's one of the things that we're starting to have conversations with across the state, not just for HCAD, but for the county as well. I think there were some committee hearings recently where the counties expressed some concern as well. So as we move through the legislative process, we're going to be looking for any way to save money as we can.
Annette, did you have?
Well, I saw Kathy looking at me. And so from an election perspective, right, the county clerk determines the cost. And a countywide election, she's going to have like 600 polling locations. And so the cost of that, and she literally has thousands of poll workers and election judges, and I think she's prudent, right, with her funds, but the cost is the cost, and I know that the county clerk is also talking to legislators about how to deal with the number of elections we have and the cost of them and these runoff elections where HCAD will be the only entity. So there's nobody to share it with, and the cost is the same.
Well, one thing I think we have to remember too, that, yeah, it's expensive. Everything in Harris County is expensive. But we've got more people in Harris County than live in 5 other states. This is like a state unto itself, and it's just, unfortunately, the cost of doing business is, when you're that large, is not cheap. Do we have any other, Ms. Ramirez?
I do, just because as far as the taxing jurisdictions, their individual piece, I will say they got hit with our increase as well, right? So the tax office had never renegotiated the costs with the jurisdictions that we collect for, and we did change that figure this year, and there was a significant increase for us as well. And so from a governmental entity perspective, we have to make sure that we're recouping the costs of what it costs us to collect others, and HCAD's in the same position.
Any other comments? Yes, Ms. Dixon.
Just a quick comment. I did ask all my questions in Finance Committee, but I just wanted to commend Chief Appraiser Bogard. I know this is your first budget process, so I just wanted to say thank you and your team for your leadership, and well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there being no further discussion, we will do a roll call vote on this. If you're in favor, say aye. If you are opposed, vote nay. Ms. Bluford Daniels.
Aye.
Ms. Tracy Jones.
Aye.
Ms. Lamont Dixon.
Aye.
Ms. McCrutcheon.
Nay.
Ms. Noriega is absent. Ms. Ramirez.
Aye.
Mr. Scott has not made it. Mr. Sullivan.
Nay.
The chair votes aye. We have 5 ayes, 2 nays, motion carries. At this point, we are going to move to the executive session because I would like the ARB committee chair to be there because we're going to have some discussion that we need your input on. We will come back after executive session and pick up both the discussion items and the normal award ceremony. So the board will now enter into executive session. The executive session is held for purposes authorized by Section 551.071, 072, 074, and 076 of the Texas Government Code. The board will retire to executive session. The time is now 10:41 a.m.
Uh-uh.
He never made it. I just know.
They're coming.
Oh my gosh, it's so cold.
Hey,
Yeah, because without all the people in the room,
how are you?
it gets really cold.
I'm great.
Here we go. We're going to reconvene. It's 11:51. The board has returned from executive session. There was no action taken. We still have a quorum present. So we're going to take care of the things that we need to vote on, which basically is the approval of litigation, pending litigation. Then after that, then we'll move into the discussion items. Item 20, this is for consideration and possible action to approve settlement of pending litigation, pending appeals to the State Office of Administrative Hearings, and pending arbitrations as presented. Do I have a motion to approve the proposed settlements?
So moved.
All right, moved by Director Daniels. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Ramirez. Any discussion? If not, we'll do this by voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. We'll move next to the discussion items. Item 13, review of homestead exemption process. Chair recognizes the Chief Appraiser.
Right, thank you, Chairman. Excuse me. So, as the board recalls, we talked about this some last month. There was a Fox News report a couple of months ago referencing an individual by the name of Charles Blaine that had done a study throughout Texas of LLC properties that have a homestead exemption. And just for everyone to be aware, that an LLC property, the way that it's owned, is not allowed to have a homestead exemption. There is an exception to that whenever they are owned in a trust, and I'll get to more of that in a second, but generally speaking, any LLC should not have a homestead. I actually got back to the office after that Sunday show on Monday, talked to Jack Barnett, who had actually been in contact with Mr. Blaine and kind of helped put together some of the information. And the study basically, you know, it was not solely looking at HCAD. We were one of several appraisal districts that he had reviewed, and basically just making some suggestions on what we could do to clean that up, and really looking at whether or not it was fraud that was committed on the property owners. So we ended up meeting with Mr. Blaine, myself and Clarette Walker, on June 30th, and had a great meeting with him. We asked for the study because, again, we were trying to figure out, are there things that we're messing up the way that we're doing our work? We got the study from him a little over a month ago, so we got it right before the last board meeting. And like I mentioned last time, we hadn't had the chance to review it. Well, we went in and reviewed it, and what Mr. Blaine found was accurate. It was a situation where there were LLC properties that had a homestead exemption on them. He was looking over 2 roll cycles to see, and what he found was correct. We were wondering if maybe there was some misinterpretation of the data. There was not any. It was correct. So what we did was we started looking, of course, first and foremost, how did this happen? What's the problem? So what we discovered through this was that there was a situation where when an ownership change happens, which we have about 130, 140,000 home ownership changes every year. When an ownership change happens, there's certain steps that the staff need to take to make sure that that exemption will roll off at the end of the year. And what was happening was we have found that there was unfortunately accounts where that was not taking place. Mr. Blaine found about 333 accounts. We've gone in and researched those, and actually after looking at them, about a little over 100 of them actually are owned in trust, so they're going to be okay. But there's 200 some odd out of our 800,000 homesteads that are LLCs that have that homestead that we're going to have to fix. So we have those set aside. We have them ready to go right now. Ms. Walker is working with our IT department to get some letters set up and get some workflows in place to be able to take care of those. That said, what we discovered, again, was that due to this ownership change issue, really, I don't want to put this at the feet of the staff. They've got a large workload of work that they do. Really, the management, in my opinion, we were not doing our job to make sure that the proper training was there, that the quality assurance was taking place, because, frankly, in speaking with Mr. Blaine, and I actually spoke yesterday with Mr. Bill King and Senator Betancourt on this as well, because he was one of the individuals that also had done a study. I reached out to him a couple of weeks ago, and he was gracious enough to share it. Senator Betancourt and him came to our office with one of their data people from Rice to actually go over some of their findings as well, which was fantastic. Great meeting, and I appreciate them and Mr. Blaine bringing this to our attention. But again, we were just not doing our part at the management level on making sure that the training and the exemption process was really tight on some of that. And so, like I mentioned in my email, we've made some changes in that group, and right now we have a special project team that is reviewing all things exemption. It is from different divisions within the building. Clarette Walker is over that INA division, who that reports to right now, and we have Chantel Harper-Brown, who is kind of heading up the exemption process and ownership process and doing a fantastic job of going in, starting to look at all of our procedures, all of our processes, all the technology, all the training, the staffing levels that we have, because that's one thing that we need to address as well. The quality assurance, making sure that we're doing our job of quality assuring the work that's being done. And I feel like we are in a really good position now to move forward. The next step, once we get these LLC properties fixed, is to then look for any others that have this ownership problem. Because again, the LLCs were just part of a larger group of these properties that were not having the homestead exemption fall off at the end of the year. So that's the next step. We're going in and identifying, trying to find those. They're a little harder to find. The LLC properties are pretty easy because it has LLC in the name. So that makes it straightforward. These other ones that we're having to do a lot of different matching, utilizing kind of similar to Mr. Blaine, some AI to help us go in and find this. And I feel very confident that the special project team we have working on this is going to do a great job in finding those, and then we'll correct those as well. And what I plan on doing moving forward, until I feel like this is completely handled, I'm going to be updating you every month on this. I want to make sure that you're aware of what's going on and you have all of the information you need. As I get updates, as I've been doing, I'll notify you through email, and then I'll bring it as an agenda item every month until we feel like this is totally taken care of. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
Right. Any questions for Adam?
Question coming. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for that. First, let me just say thank you to Mr. Blaine for identifying it, because, I'm always about saving money. Thus, I always inquire about those programs that we're spending money on. So what program are we using, if you know off the top, that's going to identify opportunities like this? Is there a specific one?
What we did, and I failed to mention that, I appreciate you bringing that up because I talked about it at the last meeting. We've done a pilot project with a company called TrueRoll, and what it does is it looks for situations like this. And we've sent them 30,000 accounts, and we've received about 1,300 of them back that are flagged as having an issue on them. What we're going to do, though, is the thing is there's still the work that needs to be done. It flags them, but then the staff have to go in and review it, make sure it's accurate, because some of these are false positives. There's nothing really wrong with it. So yes, TrueRoll is one product we're looking at. As it sits right now, though, we need to get the staff squared away, get the management squared away first before we start implementing any changes with the software. But that's going to be the next step. Once we feel like the group is solid. We just made the management changes about a week ago, so this has all happened very quickly. But once we get that done, we're going to try to nail down exactly what software system we're going to use. But right now, TrueRoll is the one that we've done the testing with.
When you say the management changes that's been done,
Yes, ma'am.
meaning the program management, or what kind of management training?
No, ma'am. I'm talking about the actual leadership over the group.
I see.
Yeah, we have a new manager over the team that handles exemptions temporarily. Again, Chantel Harper-Brown has stepped into that role temporarily. And then Clarette Walker is managing the entire INA division. as it reports under her. And so those are the changes that we've made.
As those LLCs are identified, or have been identified, is there a duration amount of time that you can go back and subsequently assess penalties, fines and penalties for that money
Right.
that obviously was lost?
Yeah, it's 5 years, and there's actually no penalties associated with it, from what I understand. So it would just be the property owner having to pay us what they owe.
So we will be notifying them?
Yes,
those
ma'am.
LLCs. Thank you
Yes.
so much. I'm just so satisfied with that. Thank you.
Right, Ms. Jones?
Yes, so this pilot program with TrueRoll,
Yes, ma'am.
are we going to be going out for an RFP or?
We're looking at that. I know we had done some preliminary looks a couple years ago with Linebarger, for instance, who has a product. But at the time, it wasn't as robust as what we found with TrueRoll. Like I said, we're in the very beginning stages of this right now. Right now, TrueRoll looks like the front runner. It's one of those things where it doesn't necessarily require an RFP because it already integrates with all of our systems. But I think, again, it may be something we're still going to take a look once we get the staff kind of at a stable place. We're going to look at everything. So, yeah.
Thank you.
And in fact, these are things that we've done for years. I had told you all, I think, last month that when I was chief appraiser, we subscribed to a nationwide identification program that you could look up the history of almost anybody. And we went back to the homestead exemptions that Mr. Smith had issued when he was county assessor, because HCAD had inherited all of those. And we took everything that he had issued, I think, remember, he was in office 60 years. And we took everything he had done in his first 30 years on the assumption that most of those people were going to be dead, and most of them were, and they still had homesteads, and we canceled them. So that we've always looked at this, but this program that Adam has outlined, I think is going to be extremely beneficial.
And just a follow-up on when you finish, Mr. Chair.
I'd like to make a suggestion, if there's no objection. Really, Mr. Blaine has performed a tremendous public service with what he has done, and what I would recommend that we do is that we prepare an appropriate certificate of appreciation, and that we invite him to our next meeting, and we publicly present that to him, because he has made a real contribution to us.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think, again, one of the things that we're planning on doing when we had the meeting with him is he wanted follow-up to see kind of what results we had. So that's one of the things that we're doing, is kind of identifying what we're doing with each account so that we can get back with him, but we plan on doing that. And I think that's a great idea, Chairman, because, again, it brought to light a lot of things that I was not aware of, and I'm greatly appreciative of the work that he did.
Ms. Daniels?
We all are. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And anytime we can save some money, then we're appreciative of that. And that was one of my points I was going to ask, is that you talked about the TrueRoll. Is that a program we already have now? And if is that something we're purchasing in the future? And then again, what that timeline looks like. What is it going to replace? Again, I'm asking that question again.
Yeah.
Ms. Beata's not here, but is it going to replace another system we previously had? And what is it going to cost? This is a new system, I presume.
It is. And I don't have, since we haven't finished it, I don't have the total, but to answer your question, it's not new. We use it for another service, and I can't remember off the top of my head what we use it for. Ms. Walker, do you remember what we're currently using it for? At the top, probably.
And while she's fixing her mic, will we have actual eyes that's going to be identifying those places, those LLCs, or any other instances? Do we have eyes manually, or will we have eyes? I know it wasn't under your purview before, but will we have eyes actually reviewing and bringing it to your attention when there's a discrepancy?
Yeah.
The system right now is being used to process current applications that are coming in.
So we're using it, but this extra part of it is going to cost an extra fee. It will cost money. So it won't, and it is a new part of the system, but right now we're utilizing it for more basic purposes, but this expanded thing that they offer, I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, and I don't want to tell you a mistruth. So when we get to that point, we'll come back to you. But yes, to answer your other question, All it does is just kind of identify whether or not there's a possible discrepancy. The staff still will have to have eyes on it, and it also has quality assurance portions of it where we'll be able to see, okay, these are the mistakes that we see happening so that we can make sure that the staff are being trained appropriately and something like this doesn't happen again.
Chief Bogart, the pieces are better and proactive monitoring.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, let's move to item 14, which is a report on progress for the boardroom remodel.
All right.
Mr. Bogard?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this recent period saw the project move forward with permitting, sample reviews, and some adjustments to make sure that we're meeting accessibility and evacuation requirements. We anticipate receiving the final selection of our countertops, doors, paint colors, wall fabric, and stair handrails by the end of August to begin the full demo process and immediately begin build-out. We're currently fully on track to meet our deadlines at this point. As you can see, if you go up to the 7th floor, the demo is already partially started. And the thing I really want to point out real quickly is thank you to the staff that worked on getting this room ready. You can see all the work that went into doing this. This was not an easy process. And, you know, IT, security, Cindy, Stephanie, Angela, Christy, everyone who got this all set up, thank you so much because, again, this was hard to do and get all this set, but as it sets right now, like I said, we are in a situation where we are fully on track with our deadlines, and as anything comes up, I will be sure and notify the board, as I've mentioned in the past. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
This is a much better audio setup than the boardroom. Okay, any questions or comments on that? If not, we'll move to item 15, the report on protest hearings and plan certification, which is imminent, by the way. Mr. Bogard?
All right. Okay, the report on protests and hearings, as it sits right now, we've received 591,000 protests, so we're right over the 590,000 mark. 84% of those are consultants, 16% owners. I'm very happy to report that the ARB will be able to approve the records this Friday, so I'll be there this Friday to receive the records, and we'll be under 5%, around 5% at that time, which of course statutorily we have to be under 10%. So again, that'll happen this Friday. The records will be received, and I'm happy about that because we'll move to some shorter, you know, once we get through this next batch of hearings that we have, we think we'll be down to 1 or 2 panels by October, which will be great for everybody because it's been a long season. But I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right, if not, the next item is the taxpayer liaison report. Ms. Terry has given us her written report. She had to leave at 12, and she at this moment is on an airplane going to a family reunion in Atlanta. So we will simply accept her written report. Next up is the ARB report, and I see the chair is in the room. And Ms. Kirkland, would you like to come up and report? And also, I would like to publicly commend Chair Kirkland. The ARB has done a tremendous job this year. This is one of the largest numbers of protests. The only time we ever had this many was back in 1984, quite frankly, and which was HCAD's first year to do a countywide reappraisal. And unlike that first year, which I learned when the governor sent me down here in 1985, was that HCAD had worked 100,000 of those, and they had boxed the other 500,000 up and hid them in an office. And we got a class action suit because of it, and we spent all of 1985 redoing 84 hearings, by the way. And we didn't have that kind of mess this year because of the great job the ARB has done. We recognize Chair Kirkland for her report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone, Board of Directors. For the month of July, the ARB conducted a total of 23,533 formal hearings with 821 panels and 25 work days. The year-to-date formal hearings total, well, from January to July 31st, total 43,852. We're so excited. The ARB will be adopting in order to approve the Harris Central appraisal records on Friday, August 21st, 2026. This is a huge accomplishment for us this year, and I would like to thank the Board of Directors, thank you all, for all of your hard work in appointing members to be able to get this accomplished. So thank you all, and this is my last go-round, so just thank you for the opportunity and entrusting me to do this. So it's been a pleasure and a great honor. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, item 18 is discussion on matters covered by. Yes, did you?
It's okay. I was just saying thanks. I want to just tell you all thank you. And Mr. Jeff Morrison and his team, their support has been outstanding. I know we have a few members in the audience here. And I also want to thank Chief Appraiser, Mr. Adam Bogart, for all that y'all do. Everyone has a separate role and a part to play in this process and service to the public, so thank you, everybody. I've just got a few more things for you. The number of required ARB members is below the count of 190. As of July 31st, we had a total of 141 members. In the executive office, we continue to address set-aside dismissals, requests for rescheduling hearing dates, and scheduling due to conflicts. The ARB continues to strive for completion of the formal hearing season for 2026. And we're also preparing for our post-hearing season. Our correction training is scheduled for September 2nd. This training will be conducted by our legal counsel, Mr. Scott Hilscher, and counsel also continues to address written complaints that come into the ARB for any reason. He also assists with monthly legal reviews submitted by ARB panel members. Thank you.
Thank you again, and forgive me for getting ahead of you. So this has been a day when we've had to move the agenda awfully fast. Hopefully we will not have this much stuff to come up next month. So we'll go to item 18, which is discussion regarding matters covered by Tax Code Section 6.15. Are there any comments from the board? Hearing none, Adam, any comments from the Chief Appraiser?
No, Chairman.
All right. We have already had our executive session, and we have approved those items. We did that as soon as we came back from executive session. So we're now going to double back to the beginning of the program for the presentation of awards, and Director Jones is going to join Chief Appraiser Bogart for those presentations.
Test. All right. All right, first off, thank you, staff, for coming back and for working with us today. I know that was kind of coming in, going out, but I appreciate you all making it back because it is so important for us to thank you for the wonderful service that you do. And today we have 6 service awards totaling 100 years of experience. So 3 10-year awards, 1 20-year award, 2 25-year awards, and 4 Employees of the Month. So our first service award recipient is from Webster, Texas. Went to Dickinson High School and earned a bachelor's degree in general business from Stephen F. Austin University. He married and moved to Tyler, Texas, worked for the Smith Appraisal District there. Then he sought out HCAD when he and his wife returned to Houston. He began 10 years ago as an Appraiser 1 and is now an Appraiser 4. He has devoted his entire tenure to the residential property division. Outside of work, he spends his time playing taxi driver, chauffeuring his kids around from one activity to the next. I want to thank Edward Hogan. We've got long walks today, the new layout. Thanks, Edward. All right, our second service award recipient was born in India, went to high school there, and completed her bachelor's degree in electronics and telecommunications. She moved to Denver for a while until a job offer led her to Houston. She worked for Nowco Champion as a SharePoint administrator before spotting an opening for the same role here at HCAD. She joined us 10 years ago and now serves as a software developer 2 in IT. The recipient earned a master's degree in computer science from U of H Victoria, and in her free time enjoys arts and crafts like oil painting, crocheting, and traveling with family. Let's hear it for Anisha Ponham. All right, our next service award recipient is Ramon Smith. Our third recipient has been with us for 10 years. I already gave it away. It's been a long day. Born in Aurora, Colorado, Mom was in the Army stationed at Fort Polk in Louisiana. He grew up in Leesville, Louisiana, and went to Leesville High School. Attended the University of Houston in Lafayette and got a bachelor's degree in business. Earned his MBA from U of H downtown. Before HCAD, he worked for HISD as an Algebra 1 instructor at Sharpstown High School. District employee Royal Fontenot referred him to HCAD. He began as a residential appraiser and has worked his way all the way up to a manager in commercial. He's earned several designations, his CTA, which is Certified Tax Administrator, his AAS, which is an Assessment and Administration Specialist, and his RES, which is a Residential Evaluation Specialist from IAAO, and plans to earn more. He doesn't have much time these days, but when he does, he enjoys movies, home projects, and spending time with his wife and his new baby boy. Let's hear it for Ramon Smith. All right, our next service recipient was born in Vietnam, came to the States as a teen, and went to Sharpstown High School. Got her BBA in accounting from the University of Houston and went to work as a staff accountant at Vista Medical Center in Pasadena. She moved to Cyprus, wanted a job closer to home, so she applied to places in the area, and one of them was HCAD. She was hired as an admin tech 4 and is now our controller. She's devoted 20 years of her tenure to the budget and finance division. She enjoys time with her family. Let's hear it for Tracy Dang. Thanks, Tracy. All right. The next recipient comes from a large family in Cameron, Texas, near College Station. She graduated from CHYO High School and worked as a bookkeeper at an elementary school in Spring ISD until she soon realized adults make better colleagues. She switched gears, worked for the Harris County District's clerk's office for 12 years until she found HCAD through HCAD employee Tyrone Jones. She joined us 25 years ago as an operations support specialist in ARB support and worked her way to an admin tech specialist 4 in INA. She delights in spending time with her immediate and her church family. Let's hear it for Cheryl Rosemond. All right, our final service recipient spearheads HCAD's annual Be a Resource or BEAR program, which we all love being a part of, which provides support for children in CPS custody. This will be HCAD's 14th year supporting the program and her 10th year as an organizer. The recipient is a Houston native, went to Northbrook High School, and before HCAD, she worked in tax collection for Wheeler & Associates for 10 years. She earned her RTA, Registered Texas Collector designation while she was there. She knew of HCAD from communicating with our jurisdictions coordinators and browsed our website one day and decided to apply. The recipient joined us 25 years ago as a technical assistant specialist in INA and is now an analyst 3 in IT. She enjoys hiking, gardening, and spending time with her family. Let's hear it for Alicia Smith. All right, now it's time for our Employees of the Month. And again, these are people who really live HCAD's values. So our first Employee of the Month was born and raised in Virginia and was a tractor-trailer operator for several years before moving to Texas. She spent time in the oil industry, then earned an appraiser license and successfully operated her own appraisal firm. She found HCAD on Indeed and transitioned from entrepreneurship to local government, bringing 14 years of professional experience with her. She's an appraiser for and commercial, and she's being recognized for her attentiveness, accountability, and work ethic. She demonstrates exceptional appraisal insight, lends her knowledge to colleagues, and is eager to learn and is always looking for the next assignment. The recipient enjoys gardening, reading and family time. Let's hear it for Misty Dean. Just come stand back here. All right, our second honoree was born in Houston, went to Westfield High School, studied at Jarvis Christian College, and found HCAD through a friend right after college. She serves as a coordinator, too, in our Human Resources Division. She's commended for her dedication, reliability, and exceptional performance. Her nomination states that she successfully completed the Workday data conversion project involving more than 20,000 records, supports temporary hires, including managing their onboarding, and has improved workplace operations by coordinating meal services, contributing to a positive experience for the district. She spends her free time crafting. Let's hear it for Anastasia Palmer. All right, our next recipient was born in Houston, grew up in Montgomery County, and went to Willis High School. She worked for Montgomery CAD as an assistant supervisor of appraisal support for 3 years. She knew of HCAD from being in the business, and today she's an asset of the Information and Assistance Division, serving as an exemption specialist too. Her nomination describes her as an outstanding team player who consistently goes above and beyond. She takes initiative and is eager to learn and grow. She's a sports enthusiast and enjoys traveling and country music concerts. Let's hear it for Jennifer Rucker. All right. And our final employee of the month was born in Monroe, Louisiana, went to West Monroe High School, and moved to Houston in 2015. He attended Lamar University and got a bachelor's in general studies. He too drove tractor trailers and became a manager and instructor for 160 Driving Academy while in college. He found HCAD at a career fair and received our job offer just before graduation. He works as a residential appraiser and is applauded for his professionalism and collaborative efforts during an incident requiring immediate attention. His nomination states he immediately stepped in to help a coworker in need, demonstrating compassion, respect, and quick thinking under pressure. The recipient's hobbies include reading basketball, fishing, and playing video games. Let's hear it for Tavarius Wembley.
Well, congratulations to all of our recipients today. We appreciate very much the contribution that each of you make to HCAD and especially to the public service that this agency provides. And there being no further business, and we had a lot of it today, but this meeting stands adjourned.
Have a good everyone. It was good to see you, ma'am.
Yeah, he didn't do 20. Number 20? Oh, okay.